Hey, it's everyone's favorite time when our good friend Steven Singer, the I Hate Steven Singer guy, announces his brand new gold-dipped rose color for Valentine's Day. That's right, this year's color is romantic, breathtaking, and unforgettable. Imagine you're on vacation with your sweetheart. You gaze into her eyes and see a beautiful sunset. You're in love. You can with Steven Singer's brand new Sunset 24-karat gold-dipped rose. Picture it, a rose that's perfectly capturing the sunset hues, going from deep purple to vibrant pink, soft orange. There's nothing like it. Nothing like you've ever seen before. Steven's famous gold-dipped roses are real roses dipped in pure 24-karat gold, guaranteed to last a lifetime. They start at just $69. Steven Singer, he makes Valentine's Day shopping easy. The new Sunset Rose is only available at Steven Singer Jewelers. Get yours right now at IHateStevenSinger.com with fast and free shipping. Steven Singer Jewelers, that's IHateStevenSinger.com.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But here's a big one you need to hear. Billions. That's the amount of money in refunds the IRS has flagged for possible identity fraud. Now here's another big number, 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. One last big number, save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. It is the Anthony Cumia Show. It is a Sunday evening, and we do appreciate that you're popping on by, checking out what the hell is going on. We weren't on last week, the big Super Bowl thing and everything, and that is one advantage to not having a daily show. I did not have to mention Bad Bunny at all. I'm very happy about that. With the Super Bowl being last week, it's a full week later right now, and no one cares. No one cares about the Super Bowl, who won, who lost, the halftime show, whether it was in English or wasn't, whether the set looked like they were filming a border crossing. We didn't even have to acknowledge it, didn't we? Or did we? No. Anyway, welcome. I hope you weren't too lonely without me for an entire week, but here we are, and we're talking a little Mandani. We always have to talk Mandani because we knew what was going to happen, didn't we? Sure, we did. When he was campaigning and throwing all those promises out. And we knew, we're like, yeah, this is all horse crap. There's no way in hell this guy's going to be able to do a tenth of what he's yelling about. Free fast buses. Remember that gag? Has he even mentioned free fast buses since his New Year's Eve swearing in? Has that even come up? And there are people, I've seen a lot of videos posted of people that are being asked right now why they voted for him. A month in, a little over a month in, and they're asking, hey, what did you vote? Why did you vote for Zoran Mandani? And so many of them are like, well, I don't want to spend so much money going to school or work, and the free fast buses was really a thing. You dummies. You stupid dummies. How they believed that was going to happen. And even before the election, Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, was saying, yeah, this will not happen. First of all, Zoran has no authority to take the toll, the fees, the fare off of public transportation. Like none. It has to go to the governor, and then there's council people, city council, state legislators. I mean, this is a big thing. And it's not just a mayor who can arbitrarily say that he's going to get fast, free buses. So then, and all again, before the election, he said Yeah, I need billions upon billions of dollars. I think it was like $70 billion in order to make it free. And somehow he said we're going to get $140 billion in return for spending $70 billion. I don't know. Maybe it was $7 billion. Who knows? It might as well be 70 gagugatrilliano, because it's not a real number and it doesn't matter what it is. It ain't ever happening. And they voted for him. And we're looking at the first month and a half maybe. And honestly, what kind of job do you think this guy's done? We saw how he handled his first real city emergency, the snowstorms. And if people aren't giving him an F, a solid fail on that one, then you're just playing politics. You're just being political. Because that was, and I believe it still is. I'm still seeing videos coming out of New York City of people walking over giant mountains of snow that isn't melted yet at intersections, the pedestrian crossings, and the garbage. The garbage is still an issue. I don't know how bad it is, if it's still as bad as it was, if it's getting better. But that was really his first, all right, how's this new mayor going to handle an emergency pretty soon into his tenure as mayor of New York City? And, well, just abominable. Really poorly done. And I was talking a little earlier about the subway crime being up 17%. This was a huge thing. I mean, every New Yorker was feeling like they were not safe in the subway anymore. This harkened back to the old glory days of violent New York crime, the 70s, the 80s, the crack era of the late 80s, early 90s. People were petrified of going on the New York City subway system. And people are petrified now. And they have good reason. We've watched people set on fire, pushed in front of train tracks, shot, stabbed, whatever else you could possibly do to another human being. It's being done there in the New York City subway system. So that stat coming up, and this is in the middle of them crowing about crime itself, overall New York City crime dropping in the past month. I don't know. I know a lot of cops. I know how they reclassify the brass and the mayor's office get together and they reclassify certain violent crimes into nonviolent crimes. And this has been done forever. And it's just to cook the books, to make them look better. Hey, look, crime went down. Ask the average New Yorker, do they feel that the crime has gone down? Because I will take the buzz going around New York. I will take the word of the people that commute every day, that walk the sidewalks every day, that grab a slice of pizza or what have you. I will take their word over any politician nonsense about how crime is down. It makes them look better. They can't announce that crime is up. It makes them look terrible. So 17% in the subways. And there was a story the other day about a guy, the cops went to a call. It was a domestic call. Apparently a man was in a house with some family members. He had broken a glass. There was yelling and whatnot. And the police were dispatched. When they arrived, this guy came charging at them with a knife. And the cops shot him. He did survive his injuries and was put in the hospital. One of the cops was stabbed, and he was treated for his injuries. And Zoran decided it was a good look, good optic, to go to the hospital and visit the guy that stabbed the cop. And over the past few days, he's been talking about how he doesn't think this guy should be prosecuted. The cuffs should come off of him, is what he's saying. And that this is a mental health issue. How is this supposed to bring crime down when the mayor, who's in charge of the police department in a city, goes around saying, yeah, we're not going to do anything. I'll come visit you in the hospital. I'll bring you a balloon, a little Mylar balloon and get well soon card. And there he was. There he was, bedside, talking to the family, saying no family should go through this. Can you believe he said no family should go through what the family of this guy that charged and stabbed a cop and was then shot and lucky for him not killed. And all Zoran can say is a family shouldn't have to go through that. So that's kind of on the back burner here. It's obvious that communist, anti-cop, anti-law and order Zoran Mandani, that's what he's going to do. But then the media asked him, what dictates a call where you would send a social worker or anything but a cop? What is the criteria there? Because as the reporter asks Mandani, and Mandani just fails to explain how they will know when a dispute merits a cop or one of these social workers. A domestic dispute. There was nothing in the call about a weapon, nothing in the call about this guy being dangerous. And under Zoran Mandani's utopian world, they would have just sent off some social worker. But they sent cops. Thank God this guy came out with a knife, and we know what happened. So let's listen to Mandani explaining to this reporter the difference between a call that would merit a cop or a social worker. Oh, I got to download that. Or I got to print out the list of sounds. It's the one that says Mandani fails to explain how they'll know when a dispute would... Yeah, my fault. I have to... I'll find it. I got it in my mail. I bet you. Let's see. Documents. Hold on. Don't fret. Hey, I had a week off. Let's relax. All right. Mandani goes to hospital. Knife charge the cop. Oh, there it is. AC5, please.
Can I get a clarification about something, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah. So let's make it really quick and then we just have to go.
I really need to have a clarification about this. I know that you talk about the fact that the police can respond in these instances if there's a weapon. But in this case, there wasn't a knowledge that there would be a weapon. There was, the charges were that he was breaking glass. And at the last minute when the cops came in, he pulled a knife out in the kitchen. So how do you determine when the police can arrive if the initial call doesn't say he's got a gun, he's got a knife? What do you do? And then if it turns violent, if a person's there without the ability to stop him, what happens?
So I think there's a few things to say here. One is a lot of this is exactly the focus of the conversations that we're having internally in developing out this Department of Community Safety. Additionally, I want to make clear that a person experiencing a mental health episode does not always have to be served first or exclusively by a police officer. It is important for us to have all of the options available, and that's exactly what we're looking at.
He did not answer. What would the criteria be? You're putting people in danger when you send them on a call where a weapon might not be there now, but it's going to be there when they get there, or it might be there when they get there. This is a ridiculous plan that he has, and just another of the long list of ridiculous plans. Okay, we will be right back. Don't go anywhere. More of the show when we continue.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yes, the Anthony Cumia Show. And, I just can't get my mind off of New York. I know the people are listening from everywhere, but when we first start the show, I like delving into my previous place of residence to see what a cluster F the entire state has become. The city, of course. There's some outlying areas like Nassau County, Long Island, which where I used to live, where there's still some sensible people. But Kathy Hochul, your great governor, if you're up there in New York, she wants to do whatever she can to prevent you, the New Yorker, from protecting themselves. You know, you want to get a gun, you need to jump through an unbelievable amount of hoops, which to me infringes on your Second Amendment right. I think some of the necessary restrictions that they've talked about over the course of the years, they've taken it to the umpteenth level, and it is pure infringement on your rights. And you would hope that the people coming up with this infringing legislation would at the very least, know what the hell they're talking about, especially when it comes to things like weapons. The Second Amendment, very important to our democracy and a very important right to the American people. And if you don't know what you're talking about as far as guns go, and then you're going to legislate against people's right to own a gun or use a gun, carry one, use it to protect themselves and their loved ones, you have no business being in office. And that is absolutely what Kathy Hochul does, and we are dubbing her Clown of the Week.
The Anthony Cumia Show presents the Clown of the Week.
Yes, Kathy Hochul is indeed the Clown of the Week. The left is full of people that, based on what you see in the news, how emotional they are, how nuts they are with their protests and everything else, you would assume they are so passionate about what they're protesting against or pushing or the legislation they want that they must know every single thing about what they're talking about, every detail. Try to trip them up. Try to debate them and question them about any aspect of what they seem to be incredibly passionate about. That's what you would think. I would do that if I was going to get out in front of people and tell them what they should be doing and how unhappy I am with the way things are going. You're damn well sure I'd learn everything I could about the subject at hand. So Kathy Hochul wants to ban certain guns. The assault weapon thing has always been a bug up her ass, and every politician trying to infringe on your Second Amendment has something about assault weapons and full automatic. It's easier to buy a machine gun at a 7-Eleven than it is a Slurpee. Where the hell do you live? So Kathy Hochul, she's talking about banning certain types of guns, and this is proof positive. She has no business at all talking about this subject, and absolutely no business trying to tell the American people that they don't have a right to own and carry the best tool available to them to protect themselves and their loved ones. Let's listen to Kathy talk about a certain gun she wants banned.
You'll no longer sell handguns that can be converted into semi-automatic machines able to fire 1,200 rounds a minute. Not here, not in New York.
Hey, pal, you just blowing from Stupid Town?
That is an ignorance of firearms unsurpassed. Maybe not unsurpassed, okay, because I've seen a lot of liberals talk about firearms, and their stupidity knows no bounds. But if you are the governor of a state, New York, and your whole you're pushing for a ban on weapons. People shouldn't be able to carry this and that and the other thing. This is an assault weapon. You can carry a gun because the Supreme Court told us you have to be able to. But now we're going to say you can't carry it in Times Square, uptown, midtown, downtown, east side, west side, anywhere near a school, anywhere near a fire hydrant, anywhere. You are infringing on the rights of the people. And then she comes out with something as idiotic as New York, you won't be able to get a handgun that you can convert to a semi-automatic machine. These are her words. A handgun you can convert to a semi-automatic machine that will fire 1,200 rounds per minute. Anyone that knows basic physics knows that isn't a thing. It's just not a thing. I know that there are certain handguns like Glocks that you could put something on called a switch, and that will turn it from semi-automatic to automatic. These things are rampant in the communities, if I may say. They're already unbelievably illegal to have, and no one's really using them. No legal gun owner has a switch on their Glock. The fact that she called it a semi-automatic machine, like they can convert into a semi-automatic. Every pistol is a semi-automatic, except maybe an old six-shooter, like the Old West, where you have to pull the hammer back every time you have to fire it, like a gunslinger. Other than that, you pull the trigger and a bullet comes out. You must now take your finger off the trigger and pull it again for another bullet to come out. This is a semi-automatic. And she's talking about converting it into a semi-automatic machine. I mean, like I said, please learn what the hell you're talking about. It doesn't bother me as much because it makes them look stupid when they say things like this. You've seen politicians in the past. This fires a 30-clip magazine of full auto bullet velocities. You're like, what are you saying? This guy's an idiot. But they never seem to know anything. We've seen the videos out there of the no kings, no tyrants, no oppressors. And people walk up to these protesters, blithering idiots, and ask them, what is a tyrant? And they have no idea. They cannot define a tyrant. They can't define woman. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what the sign they're holding says. And we're supposed to give them any benefit of the doubt. We're supposed to look at them and go, maybe I should be more open-minded and less biased to my own beliefs and ideas that I've gotten over the course of my life by doing some research, looking into things, becoming educated on something before you open your stupid mouth and presume to be an expert on the topic. And I will put a lot of the blame on the internet. The availability of people to spew their nonsense unfettered at any topic, any subject to the world. That same object, that same phone you use could educate you, but you'd rather just use it to spew nonsense and BS. That's where we're at. Unbelievable. Taking your calls next, and a lot more to come on the Anthony Cumia Show.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show, and let's go right to the phones. Mr. Chris. How you doing, Chris? My buddy in Lindenhurst.
Hey, my brother. How you doing?
Good.
Thanks to you in letting me know about the Kathy Hochul thing. I was going to go to the gun store and purchase a Medi gun to go into the city and try to find the predator, but I guess that's out. I can't. Between her and Mandani, my kids are not allowed to go into New York City. My kids are in their 20s, and we're on Long Island, and I do not allow them to go to New York City in any way, shape, or form. It's just not safe to go there. There's no reason really to go there anyway, but I just, for their safety, there's everything we need here on Long Island. So forget Mandani. Thankfully, we don't have to deal with him out here.
Yeah, that's the only good thing about being on Long Island these days. I got to be honest. It's Long Island's not looking that hot these days either. But, you wanted to talk about AOC because she's over
Yes.
in Munich, and what the babbling she was doing the other day was magnificent.
You know, I kind of laughed before when you would hear like the New York City mayors are in some South American country on some conference somewhere. Can someone explain to me, like I'm a small child or perhaps a golden retriever, what AOC is doing in Germany?
Yeah.
I mean, last I checked, she has her little congressional district here in New York, which is like the northern part of Queens and part of the Bronx. And it's, well, for lack of a better word, Haiti. And what is she doing over there? For what reason?
This is what they do now. All of these representatives travel the world because they're trying to get clout. She's doing that to get on the global stage to make some run of something else. Now, we know what that might be. It could be a presidential or vice presidential ticket in 2028, which is embarrassing. I mean, the idea that this woman knows anything she doesn't know enough to be a congressperson, never mind the vice president of the United States, but they're all campaigning. That's all they do these days. She's there campaigning. Nothing she's doing over in Munich is having any effect on her district in Queens. This is her getting in the limelight.
Forgive me for trying to be sensible in this crazy world, but if I am somebody living in her district and I'm looking around at ever since she was elected to be a representative of this district, what has she done? She's taking John Q. Public's money and now traveling around the world and going to Germany, of all places, to say how now. You know, AOC and foreign policy, these shall never mix. Yeah. But telling the Germans that, the U.S. involved in the Gaza it's a genocide in Germany, of all places.
Yeah. Come on. This gets me so pissed. They go overseas and just crap talk America, the president, our policies. They're apologizing to foreign nations. And this used to be something that did not happen. They knew no matter how much they hated the president, the administration, the policies, it was known that as a politician, you never went overseas and badmouthed your country or your leader completely to the foreign leaders. And this is now commonplace for these idiots. They go over there and they go on these little apology tours and they say how awful America is and how they want to fix it. And all I see is a traitor.
Completely correct. I could not have said it any better myself. It's treasonous to it's weakness to the world. Yep. I mean, the entire world is looking at her over there and they're just scratching their head because who is she? What is she? She's not Secretary of State.
No,
she has
nothing.
Foreign powers at all.
None.
Yet she's over there talking about our foreign policy?
Yeah, that's what they do now. They should be summarily dispatched. Thank you, Chris. I'll see you later on Call of Duty or the Battlefield later. Yeah, they're overseas bad-mouthing the country. This was verboten years ago. You just did not do this. Now they just feel they can, because, they hate Trump. And there's this perception with all of them that every nation on earth hates Trump. And first of all, I wouldn't care if they did. I think we know that when every country on earth, especially our great NATO allies, when they are completely happy with what our president is doing and the policies, it means we're getting royally screwed. That's all it means, is that we've opened up the bank book, the checkbook to all these countries and let them take advantage of us. And they've been doing that forever. Some presidents have been a little tighter with the purse strings than others, but they've always looked at the United States as an ATM machine. And Now, Trump's the guy that says no, especially with something like NATO. You got to pay. There's no Soviet Union anymore. We understood when there was a Soviet Union, a superpower, that there needed to be a superpower to fend that off in Europe. And we paid dearly. Now, pay up. And when Trump says things like, yeah, how about you go it by yourself? You go it alone. How about we back out completely? He's not adhering to the treaties and, our NATO allies. He's sidling up to Putin, but our NATO allies, he's turning his back on. No, it isn't. Good. I'm glad some of these world leaders don't like what Trump's doing. It tells me he's doing the right thing. That's all it tells me. Oh, my God. Let's see. We got Larry. Larry, Staten Island. What's up, man?
Tony!
Hey!
How are you doing?
Good, man.
Listen, I want to talk about this moron Mandani. It started from the first week with all these thousands of press conferences it was holding prior to the snowstorm.
Yep.
This guy, if you look closely, Anthony, you will see there was not one, and I repeat, not one representative from the New York City Police Department at any of these press conferences.
Nope.
This guy is at war already with the police department. He's looking to decimate this department. He wants that strategic response group. He wants them torn apart, and they are very vital to the protection of the city of New York.
Yeah.
These guys are trained in crowd control. They're trained in, more importantly, terrorism patrol.
Yeah.
They respond. If you remember the incident with when that police officer, Lord rest his soul, was killed in the NFL building, they were the first ones on the scene.
Yep.
And they did a terrific job. They saved a lot of lives. They got a lot of people out of that building. This guy has got a problem. And if you can't see in the middle of the coldest winter in a long time
yeah.
that the jerks are going down into the subway and you don't deploy down there to get them out of there, you got a problem.
Right. At the very least, Larry, if you're not going to kick the homeless out of the subways, these mental patient, violent people that go down in the subways when it gets cold, if you're not going to do that, you best damn well deploy a lot of cops into those subway stations as babysitters. Make sure these mental patient, violent thugs aren't.
You are spot on.
Yeah. Yeah, but he won't do that. Like you said, he's at war with the cops. What do you people think? The second he got elected, he has this great love for the NYPD. The guy, his entire career, has done nothing but badmouth the police department, especially the NYPD. He wants to get rid of every one of these specialty what do they call them? Like groups?
Units.
Units, thank you. Specialty units like the gang units and all of these parts of the NYPD that specialize in certain types of crimes and violence that are indicative to New York City. But he just wants, because he needs to have some type of police department, a bunch of dumb, fat minorities that have been on the job maybe a couple of years, and that's it. That's what he wants as the NYPD. Unbelievable.
Amen.
Thank you, Larry. There goes Larry. Yeah, he doesn't care about the police department. He doesn't care about the fire department either. He puts a woman in charge of the FDNY that was never a firefighter. Oh, she was EMT. Oh, that's great. Good. And that means what? She'll know exactly what firefighters need. It's a whole different job. Firefighter. New York City firefighter. And EMT? What are you even putting? That isn't the same job. And of course, it's a diversity hire. She's got to be a lesbian. The first lesbian, this, that, or the other thing. No one cares anymore. No one cares about the first this or the first that. Can we just be insane and have the most qualified person? You don't think there's a guy in his 50s that had been a firefighter that would have been the best choice to head the FDNY? A guy, yeah. Because those have, the way it is, the guys that have been on FDNY for the majority of the time have been white guys. Just white, straight white men. Well, I don't know about their sexuality. Seen some of those calendars. It's questionable. But why wouldn't you want the best person for the job? Someone with the most experience? Someone that the guys look up to? You think the firemen are going to look up to this lesbian DEI hire that was never a firefighter? Get out of here. They're never going to respect her. And right there, it's over. You don't even have to go any further as to, well, what are her qualifications? What is this? What is that? It's not a movie. At the end of 2 hours, she's not going to have done something where they're all clapping, doing the slow clap, wiping a tear from their eye in a fire station, and giving her all the respect that she's due. It's not some crappy 2026 movie. The real deal is they look at her, they see someone that doesn't know what they go through, what they need to efficiently and effectively do their jobs. And that's going to be every appointment that this Mandani idiot makes during the next 4 years. Good luck. And I just get riled up because, I still have family and friends there. People that work and live in New York City. And it's terrible to think that they have to go through what they're going to have to go through because of this guy and you idiots who elected him into office. And, there's some of them, a large majority of the voters, I think, that would never admit that they made a mistake. Look, they're all trying to make us MAGA Trump supporters admit. Why don't you admit it? That you made a mistake and he's terrible and he's this and that. I'm like, no. Where's the mistake? At least point it out. I don't see tons of snow and garbage piled up. I don't see somebody trying to send social workers to domestic disputes where someone might pull a knife out. Yeah. DEI hires for the fire department. I don't see that. So again, they'll never fess up to it. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you have to deal with that, New York. Here's Mandani, actually, when he visited the guy that stabbed the cop with a knife. And this is unbelievable. Remember when the mayor would go and visit the cops, when the cops would be in a shootout and maybe they gunned down a couple of thugs, but a couple of the cops got hit, and immediately all the police were waiting outside the hospital, and then the mayor pulls up and he goes into the hospital to meet with the injured officers. Could you imagine in those days a mayor going to visit the guy that stabbed the cop? It would never happen. The cops would pounce on the mayor. But that's what we got. So here's Mandani, AC3. He's going to the hospital to visit the man who stabbed a cop.
And as you said, I spoke with the Chakraborty family, and I visited Chavez in the hospital. And there is no family should have to endure this kind of pain.
Baba, no! Hey, put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! Put the knife! Move! Put the knife down! Put the knife down!
Got a lot of chances. There you go. Got plenty of chances to put that knife down. But there's Mandani, Hey, I spoke with the family, and that's what you're supposed to say about the cop. I visited the officer, spoke with his wife, and, he's a hero. We're all praying for his quick, total recovery. He's at the guy's bedside that stabbed the cop. What the hell is wrong with the city? Oh, my God. It's a parody. It's a parody of reality. This should never happen in any city. And there he is. There he is. Can you imagine, the cop is there getting maybe a couple of stitches for the knife wound, and Mandani's on the elevator, and they go, yeah, 5th floor, Mayor. He goes, oh, and then he gets down, and he goes, the officer's room is right here. And Mandani goes, oh, what, officer? No. Ugh, no, I'm looking for the guy that stabbed the cop. Oh, he's up on 12, where we keep the prisoners that need medical attention. Yeah, take me up to 12 then. I got to speak to his family. I'm sure they're very upset right now. I want to ease their minds. And you'd be like, this is a joke. This is a goof. A bit, a sketch, a skit, mind you. Whatever it is, it certainly isn't the way things are supposed to work in a major city. This guy's just as bad as Mayor Johnson, especially as far as the police department goes and his coddling of criminals. We all know. I'll play that one in a little while, too, because Mayor Johnson, he's a blithering idiot. He has no love for his Chicago Police Department and will never admit that there's a problem with gang violence in his city and it needs to be addressed. And because it is predominantly a people of color problem, he will never, ever acknowledge it. And Mandani, we're seeing the same thing. The guy who stabbed the cop seems to be Hispanic, and he'll never actually put his foot down and say, this needs to be done. No matter who the perpetrator is, no matter what their race is, here's what needs to be done. They did this. This is the crime. Here's the punishment. But they are so hung up on protecting people by their race and by trying to hold on to their base. They don't want to be the politician that is a racist or an Uncle Tom. So they need to be very coddling to a lot of these people that are doing awful things. All right, we'll be back in moments. Don't go anywhere. The Anthony Cumia Show continues.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It is the Anthony Cumia Show, and thank you for tuning in on this wunderbar Sunday evening. The election thing, the voter ID thing, has been a pretty big story of late. It always is. It always pops up, especially when people seem to be campaigning, which is all the time now. It's a constant campaign. I barely have any recollection of the Republicans and Democrats getting together to really hash something out and pass decent bipartisan legislation. We do not see it. So instead of being together and trying to hash something out, they are constantly campaigning to keep their gig. And good gigs they are. Because as we'll talk about in a little while, you have some politicians that go from being in the hole, in the red financially, to having $8 million in a matter of no time with no real proof of where it came from. What a great job that is. The sacrifice of public service, ladies and gentlemen. So we got the voter ID debate has been going on. Of course, the SAVE Act is out there. Republicans want, at least the majority of them, there are some Republicans that are idiots and will side with the Democrats. And when you're talking about something like voter ID, isn't it obvious that it is necessary? And isn't it obvious, because people have IDs in this country, that it's not something that's impossible to get unless you're a wealthy white person? Apparently not. I don't know what I'm talking about. because plenty of these Democrat politicians think that requiring an ID, it's slavery. It's slavery. We'd like you to have an ID in order to vote. Oh, my God, get in the hot box. There's no difference. So here's Democrat Representative Delia Ramirez. I know. And she's talking about how racist requiring an ID to vote is. This is AC 18.
Look, as I hear my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, what I hear is the same racist, misogynistic trash, different decade. Republicans are invoking historical policies intended, let's be clear, to disenfranchise Americans, especially working people, women, students, indigenous people, and anyone who can't afford the burdens of a new bill. The Save America Act is yet another Republican attempt to intimidate and suppress the votes of anyone who threatens their extremist white supremacist agenda.
That's insane. The indigenous people. Me can't get them driver's license. What is she talking about? People get IDs in this country. It's been the way it's been for quite some time. And there are things that we do on a daily basis that require identification. And if you want to do those things, you need to get an ID. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You want to fly on an airplane in this country, you need an ID. You want to cash a check at a bank, you need it. You can't argue with the bank teller that you're a racist demanding an ID from me. And I've never heard a politician come out and say that requiring ID at a bank is somehow racist or sexist. I've never heard that, even from these mental patients. But when it comes to voting, only voting, then the ID is like you got to run through 10 Rubik's Cubes in order to get it. It's some impossible task that no one can do unless you're a white supremacist. Those are the only people that could figure out the intricate, complicated, complex ways to get an identification. Meanwhile, yeah, where don't you need ID? If you're one of these people, and I see them on videos all the time, they get pulled over by the cops, making problems, and they go, you have ID on you, and they go, no. And you look and go, what kind of a nut goes out without their ID on them? It's second nature. If you drive off in your car and you don't have your wallet on you, you turn around and get it. So you have your license on you. If something happens, you can present a valid driver's license. Who just goes around with no ID? I'll tell you who I think goes around with no ID. People that I don't want voting anyway. How about that? How about if you're a piece of garbage going around, you don't have an ID, and you're an adult of voting age? Yeah, we probably don't want you voting anyway. You don't seem very responsible. You don't seem like a person who knows what needs to be done to be an adult in a society. You can't drive a car. You can't fly a plane. You can't, or fly in a plane, or fly a plane, for that matter. Can't do your banking. You can't get into a lot of establishments. Try getting into one of these buildings, these office buildings. I have a good example of that from the ladies of The View. We'll get into that in a minute, where they're complaining about transgender people in bathrooms. And what Joy Behar says is just insanely stupid. But in this case, yeah, it's called an ID. Everyone needs one in this country. Responsible people have them the second they become an adult. And anyone that doesn't, good. I don't care. I don't want them voting anyway. There. Back in a flash. Don't you go anywhere.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey, it's everyone's favorite time when our good friend Steven Singer, the I Hate Steven Singer guy, announces his brand new gold-dipped rose color for Valentine's Day. That's right, this year's color is romantic, breathtaking, and unforgettable. Imagine you're on vacation with your sweetheart. You gaze into her eyes and see a beautiful sunset. You're in love. You can with Steven Singer's brand new Sunset 24-karat gold-dipped rose. Picture it, a rose that's perfectly capturing the sunset hues, going from deep purple to vibrant pink, soft orange. There's nothing like it. Nothing like you've ever seen before. Steven's famous gold-dipped roses are real roses dipped in pure 24-karat gold, guaranteed to last a lifetime. They start at just $69. Steven Singer, he makes Valentine's Day shopping easy. The new Sunset Rose is only available at Steven Singer Jewelers. Get yours right now at IHateStevenSinger.com with fast and free shipping. Steven Singer Jewelers, that's IHateStevenSinger.com.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey, people. Thanks for tuning in. The Anthony Cumia Show. And I was just scrolling through what's going on as we speak. And I have a couple of clips with Chuck Schumer in them, but they're voter ID clips. And I just saw this. Chuck Schumer wants the gay flag, to be designated a congressionally authorized flag. Now, what this is it means it could fly over any state, federal, or federal building. No one could tell them to take it down. It's part and parcel. It is on the same level as the American flag. You might ask, are there any other flags that are designated congressionally authorized flags in the United States? And there are only two. One is the American flag, the flag of the United States of America. The other one, you know what it is? I'll give you a little moment to think about that. The POWMIA flag, which I think is obviously a great thing. It's I don't think many people would have an issue with that. It's not a divisive kind of a thing to put up there underneath the American flag, to have a POWMIA flag. I see a lot of government buildings with those two flags, the American flag and the POWMIA flag. And you'd be hard-pressed to find someone, I'm sure you could find them on the left because they're nuts, but you'd be hard-pressed to find people that would be like, oh, take that down. That's terrible. But now Chuck Schumer wants to make the gay flag equal with those two flags. I mean, do you have anything better to do than to pander and coddle every single little interest group that pops up that pulls a voting booth lever for you? Obviously, he does it for votes. But Chuck also has something else going on in his life, and I think that it speaks volumes as to his motive for being so pro-gay, lesbian, LGBTQ plus A, this, that, the other thing. And that is his gay daughter. Chuck Schumer has a gay daughter. She's married to another woman. And I've seen this phenomenon over the course of the years where a father that has a gay child, it becomes their mission to be the most supportive person as far as gay issues go. And with Schumer being a politician, he has some real clout to do things, or at least appear to want to do things as a politician for the gay community. And this usually comes from a tremendous amount of guilt. You know, parents, regardless of what they say about their children and how they raise them, and if their children choose a certain direction in life, I will love my child no matter what course they choose in life. And the gay angle, though, a parent of a gay child really takes a lot of personal responsibility and guilt for that, especially someone like Schumer. He wasn't born and raised in a time where, there was a lot of tolerance for gay people. And I think what they do in order to make up for that is really overdo it with the supporting and try to win back their kids' love by going, look at me, look at what I'm doing. I'm supporting you guys. You guys are great. I love that you're a lesbian. I love that you're gay. And meanwhile, I doubt that's the truth. I really doubt that's the honest truth there. So, Chucky's going to try to get this done. Schumer's proposed bill aims to add the LGBTQ pride flag as a third flag that is congressionally recognized flag of America. Get out of here. You think that's going to happen? It might if, liberal Democrats get in. But even some Democrats will just go like, no. I could think of a bunch of other flags that would be more appropriate. And at this point, the American flag and the POW-MIA flag sound, that's fine to me. That's fine by me. I don't think we need to be flying any more flags. And then it just opens up the opportunity for all these nut psychopath teachers and everyone else that's dealing with the children in this country to put these flags all over their classrooms. Oh, look at Anthony. What does a few flags do in a classroom? I guess technically nothing. But the people that put them up have a hell of a lot to say to those kids, to twist their little minds. If you're hanging gay flags up in your classroom, you're a problem as a teacher. You are going to push that agenda right into their tiny little heads until they're nuts just like you. So, I like the idea that certain schools can go up to teachers and go, you're not doing that. We're not putting Trump flags in the classroom. You're not putting gay flags in the classroom. But if you make it a recognized flag of America, then it could be put in any classroom, any place, anywhere. And no one can really tell you to take it down. So another agenda-driven BS nonsensical thing that they want to do. And, of course, it's Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer, New York, New York, New York. What the hell? So back in 1996, were they using those bed warmers then, where they put coals in a pan and run it between the sheets to warm the bed at night? Was that 1996? Seems like a long time ago. Chuck Schumer was talking voter ID back in 1996, and boy, he sounds a tad different than he sounds now. I can't quite put my finger on it. Maybe you can help me out. This is AEC 22.
Let's admit the truth. Everywhere people go, they're asked for a Social Security card. In fact, one way to prove you're a bona fide person who can have a job is to ask for a driver's license and a Social Security card. This is an anti-fraud amendment. Over where we go, people say, well, why can't you stop illegal immigrants or others from coming here? And the number one answer we give our constituents is when they come here, they can get jobs, get benefits against the law because of fraud.
Yeah, people need a license and a Social Security card. It fights fraud. That's how you keep people from lying about things like their citizenship and their ability to vote and a number of other things in this country, opening a daycare center and getting millions in tax dollars from it. But that was Chuck Schumer back in 96, and that sounded to me like somebody that appreciates American citizens having IDs to prevent fraud. It's the best way to prevent fraud. ID. So now let's hear what Chuck Schumer has to say just this week in the futuristic year of 2026. Imagine you're in 1996 and then you go, what'll this idiot sound like in 2026? From the moon or Venus, I'm sure. It won't be here on Earth. We'll be all over the galaxy. But here's Chuck talking about voter suppression. Here, it's actually the fact that 83% of Americans want voter ID, and the majority of Democrats want voter ID. And Chuck Schumer is supposed to be a representative of these people, and he's saying, no, you don't know what you want. I do. And that ain't the way it works, kids. So let's listen to Chuck 2026 on the same topic. Oh, that was AC 23.
About 83% of the American people, including majority Democrats, support voter ID laws.
Well, yeah, the voter ID laws that, first, each state can have its own voter ID laws, and some do and some don't. But secondly, what they are proposing in this so-called SAVE Act is like Jim Crow 2.0.
Oh,
they make it so hard to get any kind of voter ID that more than 20 million legitimate people, mainly poorer people and people of color, will not be able to vote under this law. We will not let it pass in the Senate. We are fighting it tooth and nail. It's an outrageous proposal that is, that shows the sort of political bias of the MAGA right. They don't want poor people to vote. They don't want people of color to vote because they often don't vote for them.
Oh, that must be it. You hear how he says that they've just making it so difficult to get the ID that you would need to vote. It's the same ID you need for the things that I had just mentioned. So is Chuck Schumer saying that it's too difficult to get an ID to fly? That maybe we ought to look into the work it takes, the unnecessary obstacles and hoops that you need to jump through to get an ID to fly on a plane? Because he's talking about the same ID. And he says they're making it difficult to get IDs. And these are IDs that poor people and people of color won't be able to get. So it seems to me you would have to make it easy to get ID for everything. You want to drive a car? It's much too tough to get an ID. The poor people and people of color won't be able to drive unless we change the criteria for getting an ID. That's what he's saying. Anything. You want to walk into a bar? Oh, can I see your ID? Hey, you're being a little racist here. All right, Sonny, go in and have a shot. Banking. People of color can't bank because getting an ID is too hard, as per Chuck Schumer. It's much too hard. It's all such obvious BS and lies. All right, people, don't go anywhere. Back in a flash.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show, and we'll take a call there from Oakland, New Jersey, not O-Town. Jim, what's up? Hello.
How are we, my friend?
Very good. How you doing? You
got, did you ever imagine you would see the world like this?
No, not at all. I was thinking that today. I think it a lot. I go, I can't imagine. And the worst part is you can't see it getting better. Like, you can't imagine what it would take to get to a place where we're a cohesive nation of values and ethics, morality, common. We have a common thread through this country. I just don't see it ever being like that.
I'm scared after Trump leaves what's going to happen. I really am. I mean, you know the way we grew up. We had a great time.
Yeah.
We never think about this crap. Never.
No, it was. If somebody told me when I was in elementary school or junior high to grab a sign and we're going to protest something, first of all, my dad would have gone over there and flicked a Tarryton right into their eye. But like, what? I'd be like, what is this? This isn't fun. I want to go in the playground, or I want to play with my model race cars or something. They're indoctrinating the kids and making it where they understand how important they are to the future to keep this garbage going on and on and on for generations.
Right? In high school, what do we think about? Hey, I want to get laid. I don't want to care about any of this crap.
Girls was top of the list. Let's be real here. You wanted a car. You wanted to get a car so you had some freedom. And maybe a couple of joints, whatever it was. But that's all you gave a crap about. You weren't. It didn't involve us. What Ronald Reagan was doing at the time, it didn't involve us. We didn't care. That's for the adults to deal with. We just want to hang out and have a good time. And if anyone tried to put a protest sign in my hands, I'd hit him over the head with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate the call. The Olympics is going on. And that's another thing that I think back on, and I remember watching it. It was a family thing, and I understand there's different ways people watch things these days. It's not the communal viewing that was done years ago. When we watched the Olympics years and years and years ago, everyone was watching the Olympics at the same time, the same events, and then the next day you'd talk about it at work, at school. It's all different. Most people just watch clips now. They don't watch the whole thing. And they watch it at different times. You don't need to watch it when it's happening. So it becomes more distant as we've become more distant. It doesn't really matter. And then you add in that these athletes that are going over there don't give a crap about their country. That was the whole selling point of the Olympics. The entire selling point was, oh, that's the American team. Rah, rah, they're waving the flag. When the media talks to them, they love America. They want to win for America. And then when you watched it, you were thrilled, psyched when America won. You're like, damn, the Chinese got us again. Now you watch these athletes spewing that same anti-American nonsense, like the celebrities and the left, and you're like, I don't care. Why am I going to pull for this athlete? They don't care about America. Why should I care about what they do? And that's where we are as far as the Olympics go, and that's why no one really cares. It's not this must-see viewing anymore. Here's a couple of the skiers, and they feel shame wearing the American flag. Shame they feel wearing the American flag. Let's watch this, AC-11.
I feel heartbroken about what's happened in the United States when, I'm pretty sure you're referencing ICE and some of the protests and things like that. I think that as a country, we need to focus on respecting everybody's rights and making sure that we're treating our citizens as well as anybody with love and respect. And I hope that when people look at athletes compete in the Olympics, they realize that that's the America that we're trying to represent.
It brings up mixed emotions to represent the U.S. right now, I think. It's a little hard. There's obviously a lot going on that I'm not the biggest fan of, and I think a lot of people aren't. If it aligns with my moral values, I feel like I'm representing it. Just because I'm wearing the flag doesn't mean I represent everything that's going on in the U.S. So, yeah, I just kind of want to do it for my friends and my family and the people that support me getting here.
Screw. Go screw. Listen to this idiot. You're wearing the flag. And he's doing it for his, for my family and friends, not for this terrible America. Then don't be on the team. Then don't be on the American Olympic team. Find some other crap hole country. Be on the Somali team. Be a Somali skier. There. Problem solved. You could kiss ass over there. It's really disgusting. They're representing this country, and they go overseas like these politicians like AOC, and they crap talk America in front of the media. It's embarrassing. It's just embarrassing. Imagine the old Soviet Union. You get some Russian skier up there. Well, I'm not very happy about what happened with the Soviet Union. Do not like invasion of Afghanistan. But, oh, very good speech, comrade. How you ski with no legs? And then they blow both of their kneecaps out. Because that's what a proud nation does. It blows the kneecaps out of skiers that badmouth your country. This is unbelievable. It never happened. And like the previous caller said, I couldn't imagine this. The Olympics were such a part of growing up in this country. It was a great family thing, you know. You all gathered around the old radio to listen to. All right, maybe not that old. But you all got around the TV. Hopefully mom and dad weren't yelling at each other and throwing dinner at the wall. And you had a great time. You watch, ooh, is the American team going to win? And now they get up there in front of the media and speak ill of the country they're representing. That's why I really can't see us coming back from this without some type of cataclysmic event. And you don't want to see that either, you know. You don't want to see something that forces the country to unite like that. You know, but I mean, even after 9/11, it was short-lived that we had this unity and a common kind of sadness and sorrow about that. And then before you know it, go screw. Who are you? F off. It just goes to that. And now it's worse than ever. Even in 9/11, you'd have half the country applauding the terrorists, and half the country would not be very happy about what happened. But we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. And Kamala Harris has been out and about. I don't know what's going on there. You know, there's got to be there's always a motive for her or any politician really just coming out of the woodwork and all of a sudden they're all over the place. It's usually going to be that they're campaigning. They're running for something. And Kamala she has taken no lessons from her past to make anything she's saying these days sound any better than they did back then. She's a blithering idiot. We dodged a tremendous bullet when Kamala Harris and Tim Walz lost the election. I don't know where we'd be. You know, it's frustrating now, and it's very dark and depressing when you think of America and where we're at now. But that's because we're seeing it. We wouldn't even see this. There would be no talking about it. They would just be doing what they did during the 4 years of Biden, whatever that was. The borders would be flung open again, and the illegal alien crimes, rape, murders, whatever, would be continuing. They'd be being deposited in cities across the country, and we wouldn't even know about it or be able to talk about it. Anyone that was a whistleblower and said this is happening, they'd discredit them. This is how it happens. This is how it is. Thank God we're at least seeing the atrocities that are happening in this country. So Kamala, she had her idea about voter ID. And in a way only Kamala Harris can put forth, she told people what she thinks about voter ID. AC 13.
Is agreeing to voter ID one of those compromises that you'd support?
I don't think that we should underestimate what that could mean.
What?
Because in some people's mind, that means, well, you're going to have to Xerox or photocopy your ID to send it in to prove you are who you are. Well, there are a whole lot of people, especially people who live in rural communities, who don't. There's no Kinko's. There's no Office Max near them. People have to understand that when we're talking about voter ID laws, be clear about who you have in mind and what would be required of them to prove who they are. Of course, people have to prove who they are, but not in a way that makes it almost impossible for them to prove who they are.
Like what I was saying earlier. Of course they have to prove who they are, but not in a way that's as difficult as they're saying. What, like everyone has to prove who they are in so many things we do every day in this country? And the Xerox, what is she talking about? A Xerox machine? I need a mimeograph of your license. If you're going to board the Titanic, we need a mimeograph. What is she talking about? Get the printing press. Get the old Ben Franklin printing press and print me an identification. Holy Jesus, Palomino, she is just out there. How about this? I have to assume that everyone in this country has a phone. Even the most impoverished people in this country have phones. They get them for free. The service is free. It's like just one of those welfare things that they felt was imperative, that poor people have phones. And people of color, I assume they have phones. They're yapping into them at unbelievable volumes everywhere you go. So I assume people of color are able to get phones. They can't get headphones, but they could get phones. And that's what you would use. If you need to send your ID somewhere, you're not going to a Kinko's to get a Xerox copy of your license. And then what? Let me fold it up and put it in this envelope and write out the address and return address and put a stamp on it. And what? What are you talking about? You dummy. I've had many instances where I needed to send my license to PayPal, asks for your license when you sign up for an account. There are plenty of online services. Banking, I know that when you're online banking, you need to send them a copy of your license. This is done. Now, hold on. This is pretty complicated. If you're poor or a person of color, hopefully you can understand this. You take your phone and you take a picture of the front and back of your license, and then you attach it to whatever site you're. I lost you there. Attach. No, not literally. If you then take a stapler and try to attach your physical license to your phone, you're going to do a lot of damage. So what I'm saying is there's a way to attach the photo to the, okay, I understand now. Now I understand. I'm getting looks from poor and people of color here in the studio, and they're just dumbfounded. They're hitting themselves over the head with the equipment here in the studio because they are at such a loss to understand what the hell I'm saying. So maybe they're right. Maybe people like Kamala Harris are right, and they're just too stupid to do what Americans do all the time for centuries. I'm sure there was, George Washington, I need to see an ID, sir. But they really want to make it seem like it's just the voter ID that's unfair, and that's too much work. You have to be too smart to do it, too rich to do it. But every single other thing you need an ID for, that's fine. That's fine. And they'll never say that poor people or people of color can't get on airplanes. That's another thing we've seen. Unfortunately, getting on an airplane is very simple for the poor and people of color. We've seen it many times on Spirit Airlines, Frontier, Southwest. There's no problem getting IDs for people of color. They'll let you know it. They'll let you know they're on that airplane. I assure you. This is funny. This is a Mandani supporter, and he's got this insane idea. When asked what will New York City do if all the wealthy businessmen leave because of the tax hikes that Zoran wants to put in place, this is a childlike take on what should be done if wealthy people leave or want to leave New York. This has no basis in reality. It is so, for lack of a better term, retarded that I don't even know where they could have gotten this idea and be able to breathe and walk at the same time. So listen to this Mandani supporter and his great take. I'm sure Mandani will sign him up for his administration in no time. His great take on what is the answer if wealthy businesses leave New York City. That would be AC 8.
What do you say to this folks who say, well, if you tax millionaires, they're going to leave the city, and the top 1% pays 40% of the taxes in the city, so what happens if they leave? What's your response?
Well, that's what I would say. It's like we should take their business, and we run it like for the city ourselves.
So if they take their business to Florida, you feel like you can make it, keep it here?
I mean, they can't leave the building. They can't, just bring their whole entire workforce to Florida, right? They can't bring all of, the resources that they have to, build the business here to Florida, right? That's a whole thing. And that's where we would even say, if we're building a real movement, right, to, stop that, we'd also, make it illegal for them to, actually, leave, right? We would fine them to hell if they're going to try to, abandon their property here, right? Because clearly people do need to work, right? People do need to, make a living, so.
All right. Is that the dumbest thing you've ever heard? Hands. Yeah, look, all right, the hands are going up. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people that are agreeing that is the dumbest thing they've ever heard in their entire lives. He says the first thing's ridiculous. The very first part of what he's saying is completely insane. That if a business leaves, you just take over the business because they can't take the building with them. So let's say you're a business and you have an office in the Empire State Building. A lot of businesses have offices in the Empire State Building. And they leave. They go, we're getting out of here. We're moving down where we don't have to pay these crazy taxes. I'm going to Florida, or what have you. This guy goes, ha ha, they left the Empire State Building behind. Ha ha, let's get in there and just start doing their business. Whatever it is, I don't know. I don't even know how it's done. But he was in floor 52, suite 38B, and we're going to go in there now and just run his business that he took to Florida. What? I swear to you, when I see these videos of these people, there's 1% of me that feels bad. I guess I'm a little too much of a human being to not just 100% write this idiot off as someone who is wasting every breath of air they take. But there's a part of me that goes, you dummy. You are a blithering idiot. That is crazy. And then the other part, when he's trying to think out his first take on it, plan A, if you will. And then he just switches to plan B, which is, well, just fine them. Make it illegal to leave the state. These are the people, by the way, that carry around the protest signs that say, no kings, no tyranny, no oppression, no dictators. Trump is a tyrant. He's a dictator. They carry around the signs, and then they say, if a company wishes to leave because they're not happy with whatever in the state they're doing business in, this guy, the no kings, no tyrants guy, wants to make it illegal. And I guess lock them up or fine them to the point where they would have to pay this tyrannical leader if they want to leave the state. It has no resemblance to America whatsoever. And look, I understand. He's just some idiot that someone went up to with a microphone on the street. But it is very common to hear them say this. And I give them kudos for at least saying something. Most of these people run away. They yell, they throw things, they call the person with the camera and microphone Nazi, and they run away. And now you know why. Because I think they realize they can't speak. They can't convey a rational idea. Take the building. They left the building behind. So we just go in there and do their business. And then what happens? Didn't he take the people? And didn't he go to Florida to set up the business down there? I mean, don't they have the phone numbers and Rolodex? How are you just going to take over the business? These are very, very mentally handicapped people. Even the ones that aren't dubbed mentally handicapped, they are. I've yet to see a left-wing person that has reasonable opinions on things and can voice them reasonably and in a civil tone. I've yet to see one, not one. They're all nuts like this. I don't know how it happened. I do not know how it happened. Oh, my God. Let's talk to Lana. Lana in the Garden State of New Jersey. What's up?
Hi.
Hi.
I've never talked on the radio. Sorry. I just wanted to say I was at the Hackensack Hospital the other day for my mom, and I needed a photo ID just to go to the cafeteria.
Yeah, to the cafeteria in a hospital. Photo ID.
Yes.
And did you lose your mind? Did you call them racist or misogynistic?
Not at all. I gave it willing, and whatever. But
yeah, they seem to think that for voting, there's this misogynistic, racist, elitist, white supremacist thing behind it. But any other circumstance where you have to show ID is perfectly fine. They never really get into an argument about that. I will never understand that, Lana.
No, I don't understand it either.
Thank you, dear. Here goes Lana. And then, of course, there's Steve. Steve, Dallas, Texas. What's up, Steve?
Hey,
Yellow.
I've been a big fan of yours.
Well, thank you, my friend.
Hey, I just wanted to just make a comment on Mandani.
Yeah.
So when he said that he made a statement about Prophet Muhammad going to Medina, what he forgot to mention was that after 6 months, the entire population of Medina was forced to convert to Islam, and those who did not, were executed.
Executed? I thought you were going to say they were told to just live in peace and practice your religion and raise your family the way you want it raised. Really executed. That's, wow, I never would have imagined. Steve?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
All right. Yeah, that's what happens. And when you look at the amount of people with the Islamic background that are flooding into Western cities in Europe, the UK, obviously, and here in the United States, it's never a good thing. You never see it and see these giant collections of Muslims in an area and then go, wow, it's so much better than it was. Now that they are there, that town or that city or whatever it is so much better than it was when it was just working class white people, the dad going to work and eating his lunch at noon with the boys, and the work horn goes off and they go home. And It's so much better now. How? No one can explain. What, food again? Are we going to talk about food? Oh, the diversity is great. Well, what about food? If you don't like Islam, then you better not go to a halal cart in the city, or you may not. They always bring it down to something as stupid as food. I'll have hamburgers every night for the rest of my life if we could get rid of the useless DEI nonsense going on in this country. Oh, you don't like Mexican illegals? Well, then you can't have a taco. So be it. So be it. Give me a burger, another burger. I'm on 850 days of burgers right now, but the country's a lovely place. Thank you, Steve. I don't know. I just don't know. Food, that's the big thing. I see so many of these liberal women. If you're for ICE, then don't go to a Mexican restaurant. Really? What if I'm not for something American? Like, what if I have a problem with something the government's doing? Then I can't eat a burger or a weenie? I can't have a Oscar Mayer wiener? They think it's because they think like children. It's this shallow, juvenile way to think. When they think they got you, a gotcha moment, it's so pathetically shallow and so easily turned on them. And then they'll start crying, quite literally, and run away. This is our enemy. Yeah, enemy. I'm not under any delusions that we are a united country anymore and we need to hug these people and get together again. This is the enemy. I'm sorry. It's how it goes in the big city. Back in a moment. Stick around.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It is the Anthony Cumia Show. We'll quickly go to William here in Central Jersey. What's up, William?
Hey, Anthony. Great to hear from you, man.
Thank you, man.
I'm just so sick of I was like identifying with you with these Olympic athletes using, their like minor victory, which we supported, and they're going to denounce the United States in another country. Kiss my ass. We've fortified them. We've treated them like thoroughbred horses, and they're going to use that as a pulpit. Are you kidding me? I don't think anybody should watch any of these Olympic athletes. It's a joke, Anthony. And this is America, and Seabright, there's a sign. It says, America, love it or leave it. You don't like it? Hop in with Rosie O'Donnell over there in Ireland. You tell me about the weather.
Thank you, William. Yeah, I couldn't have put it better myself. It is annoying, though, because, the United States pays for a lot of their training. Once you reach a certain point athletically, it's like scholarships. The Olympic Committee sponsors you, and they bankroll you, and then you take all the money, you get all the training, and then you go, hey, screw America, man. New Orleans. I vowed never to go back to New Orleans. Many years ago, we went there with the Opie and Anthony show, and we were up on a balcony during Mardi Gras, and we just watched people being assaulted on the sidewalks, just people walking up to them and smashing them in the face, and it was horrific. I really don't have any want or need to support that city. So the New Orleans Police Department, whoops-a-daisy, they hired an illegal alien as one of their officers. How do you go through a vetting process for a police officer and you miss the fact that the person doesn't even belong in the country? Well, the police chief is going to let us know. AC1.
We have a new development that we know that you are not aware of yet, but we also know that it will become a newsworthy item.
By the way, lesbian police
chief. Therefore, we're going to go ahead and share it with you. We don't have a lot that I can tell you. But as of this morning, ICE did indeed take into custody one of our police recruits, who is we hired and was in the police academy at the time. We've had conversations with ICE regarding this. There was no struggle involved in any of it. The person was actually, the recruit was taken into custody without any incident whatsoever. So what you would want to know about this particular person is that on our end, when we were doing the hiring process, there was nothing that was in the packet that would have us have reason to believe that this person did not have legal status. There is some question that may have developed later, but there was a signed order by a judge for his removal back in December. We hired him way before that.
Oh, we hired him before, the judge signed a form that says, get the hell out of the country. How do you vet your prospects in New Orleans? I have to assume this guy had ID. If an illegal alien can get an ID, that's a problem. That makes it sound like it's a little too easy to get valid identification in this country. Doesn't sound like it's hard and that it's going to keep people from getting an ID. If an illegal is able to get ID that shows him as being an American citizen, and it's taken by a police department as a valid ID, then I have to assume it's too easy to get ID, that we need to make it tougher. And if the poor people and the people of color have a problem getting ID now the way it is, well, then there might be some even some more issues. Because if an illegal can get ID that passes muster with a police department where they put him on the force, then we have a problem. A little too easy to get an ID, even for an illegal alien. Don't call them that. No one's illegal. A people can't be illegal. That's something they say, too. A human being isn't illegal. It is if he's standing in the United States and he's not a citizen. Then a person can be illegal. You can't be illegal on stolen land. Billie Eilish. What an embarrassment musicians and actors and whatnot are. There's such an embarrassment. I mean, cringeworthy embarrassment. Stolen land. And then they found out that Billie Eilish's house, her multi-million-dollar house, is on land that was part of an Indian tribe that spoke up and said, hey, your multi-million-dollar mansion is on our property. What are you going to do about it? And then we haven't heard from Billie Eilish since then, have we? We heard from other people that said, oh, stop, she's a young woman that doesn't understand. Yeah, okay, I could even buy that. Then shut up. Then shut up like all the rest of you. You're all experts, aren't you? Stolen land. No one's illegal on stolen land, man. And then there's her mansion on what she called stolen land. Oh, she doesn't know better. She's dumb. She's got a 68 IQ. Oh, okay. Then maybe her handlers should tell her to shut up and not sound like such an idiot when she's talking. Unbelievable. But that's where we are. That's where we are. That's that's the squeaky wheel that gets the oil. The likes of Billie Eilish and the rest of them. I think I have a celebrity clip coming up. A week doesn't go by where some celebrity doesn't say something unbelievably stupid. Stick to acting and keep your yap shut. All right, back in moments. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. And was just scrolling on X, Anthony Cumia on X, if you want to see what I'm up to during the rest of the week. And people have been asking what I think of the Savannah Guthrie case of the mom, the Guthrie mom. And Very, very easy. She's dead. I have to believe that. I'm no expert. I did scroll 2 or 3 times, so I can consider myself an expert. But I think a family member got into a bit of a tiff, and they either had somebody go to the house and deal with her, or they did it themselves in that getup that we saw on the ring cam. This doesn't seem like a kidnapping. First of all, who kidnaps? No one kidnaps in this country anymore. It's like a thing from the 1800s. Drug cartels, they love a good kidnapping. Oh, my goodness. If you screw with the cartel leader, your family, there's a kidnapping in your future, and it won't end well. But this, like, who kidnaps? It just doesn't make any sense. And an old lady, I would assume you could kidnap anyone in a family, and they're going to be as eager to get that person back as the other person. So financially, does it matter if you take someone in their 20s or someone in their 80s? And then you'd want to take someone in their 20s. They're a little more, they're not as perishable, bouncing around in vehicles or being buried alive for a little while. I watch a lot of movies. I think you could tell. But I have to believe that this was some family or very close people to the family having some type of issue with the family or this woman in particular. And I don't think I think they'll find out that very quickly after this supposed abduction, she was done for, as they say. But who knows? I watch a lot of Forensic Files. I watch a lot of First 48. I watch all the shows on Discovery Channel, whatever that is. And, that's my take on that whole thing. I'm not going to go into it in depth like a lot of people have been. There's certain stories that are pretty big, and I'm just like, I don't know. Is that one I really want to get into? Does it really affect a lot of people? It's kind of gossipy, It's something people will talk about. And if they find her, dead or alive, it'll be a big story. But right now, I don't really care. Not that I don't care for her. I don't want to seem like a total cold piece of garbage here. But I'm a cold piece of garbage. There's Matt. Matt, New Hampshire. What's up, my friend?
Anthony, I got to say, first time, short time, and I got to thank you two for bringing you across my feed.
Awesome.
Although I am a New England boy, I cut my teeth at WTKK years ago, and I love hearing from you, man. And I just want to kind of step back. I don't know much about the Guthrie thing. I saw also that on my screen, but I wanted to talk about when you played that, I believe it was the police chief you said down in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And didn't California recently, she and all major liberal blue cities need to get on board. Didn't California somewhat recently swear in their first non-citizen law officer into the ranks, or am I mistaken?
Yeah. A couple of cities have done this with their police departments or someone in the administration. And I don't know how that's done. I don't know how they say, this isn't illegal and welcome to the club. That's somebody that ICE should go right up to and cuff and throw out of the country. But, they're always trying to push it in everyone's face. Oh, illegal? Look, we're going to make this person a cop. Or we're going to put him on the administration and make him in charge of welfare. But that's kind of what I see, Matt.
It does. No, so it seems a bit off. But like I said, I think that she and these other cities, if that's what they wish to bring upon themselves, and we can all witness the results thanks to having coverage like what you do, et cetera. And I know our time here is short, but once again, thanks, man. Welcome back, and all the best to you.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that, bro. There goes Matt up there in New England, back in the old WAAF days when me and Opie were shock jocks up in the Boston area. We made a lot of trips into New Hampshire for gigs and things like that. It was a lot of fun. Back in the, the 90s. People really have embraced the 90s, right? I think in the early 2000s, because the 90s were still pretty recent memory, the 80s took this place as this wonderful decade. The 80s were a little silly. The music and the costumes people wore. I think the 80s was what the 70s thought the future should look like. The pointy, big shoulder pad things. And like Daryl Hannah in what movie was that? She just put some spray paint across her eyes and it looked all sexy and stuff. Blade Runner. And that was the 70s version of the future was the 80s. And we were pretty prosperous as a country. It was much more difficult to be as divided as a nation back then. Because, I mean, how are you going to piss people off? Put a flyer under their windshield at the mall? It just didn't seem like one person or a small group of people can make such an impact on such a large swath of the country. And obviously, I'm talking about the internet and then the phone and various social media platforms, this instant access where you now have a world stage for what you want to say. And that really divided this country. So the 80s, they were good in that we didn't have that. Things were silly. You know, politically, things got a little crazy with Iran-Contra and Ronald Reagan and nuclear proliferation. But we never felt like our country was failing. We never felt like we were so divided as a country that there wasn't even an America anymore. As a matter of fact, when Reagan came in, he came in on the platform of we are going to bring America back to its former glory, because people were really depressed about what Carter had done to America. A nice enough guy, but I mean, he wasn't really a president for a strong, proud America. So when Reagan got in there, you know, we were proud to be Americans. Movies, Rambo, and all those you know, America kicking ass movies. And then what did we have? The 90s. The 90s seemed like a decade where everything was just cool. Everything was awesome. The music was great. We still had this rapport with each other. And the country was still very united, very proud. We had won the Cold War. There was no more Soviet Union. And right up until 9/11, that's really what it seems like. What a baptism into the 21st century that was. Because the 90s are looked at now like the last decade that we were America. Songs come on from the 90s and it takes you to a place and a time and a feeling of being, you know, maybe not being an American, but a girl you went out with, a car you had, friends that you had, things like that. And that's all part of, you know, the America we lived in. And then just, oof. And you notice every decade had a feeling to it and a vibe to it. It was very obviously that decade. It might have taken halfway into the next decade to realize, like it took to get to maybe 92, 93 to realize what the 80s were. And then you're like, oh, the 80s, they were crazy. And then the 90s were the 90s. Very distinct decades. 70s, 60s. It always was that. Have you been able to differentiate between the aughts and the teens and now the 20s? It just seems like this one mush of just horror for this country. No distinction between the decades themselves. It really does seem like that. I don't know. When people go, wow, that was, 10 years ago, 2015. And you go, it just seems like yesterday because there doesn't seem to be anything that made it distinctive or different from 2025, 26. Obviously, technology changes and things like that, but technology changed between the 80s and the 90s. But there doesn't seem to be this distinct decade that we've been living to. In the past 20, 25 years, it's just been a mishmash of I don't even know what. It certainly hasn't been American. And, yeah, just my take, my little take on what that is. I wonder why that is. You know, you ever see those posts where it goes, if Marty McFly went from 1985 to 1955, which is 30 years, that would be the same right now as going back to 1995 from right now. And it doesn't seem like such a stark difference, you know. All right, you're listening to Alice in Chains, you're hanging out with your buddies, drinking. It doesn't seem like that stark of a change from 1955 to 1985. And it's because everything just seems to mush together in this not really very distinct lineage of decades. I don't know. Or I'm talking out my ass. We'll be right back.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Joaquin from Pennsylvania. What's up, man?
Good evening, Mr. Cumia. Pleasure to speak with you again.
Cool.
Hey, you know, I gotta go back to when you're talking about when we were younger, because I'm 66. You know, and as families, we watched the Olympics.
Yeah.
You know, one of the main themes I think for most of us was watching us kick everyone else's, if I could say the word, ass.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. We took great pride in that at the time. In particular, we were looking to kick the Russians' derriere.
That was the big competition right there. The world powers going at it.
Exactly, you know, and so, you know, people were patriotic. And, you know, I think I have an answer as to what's going on. But I did want to comment also, too. I happened to come across a picture of Simon Cowell and his son.
Yeah.
And I was completely blown away and mortified by that. You know, when you look at Simon Cowell, you look at him, you think he's a normal dude, right? You know?
You'd think.
In many ways. You think, exactly. And then all of a sudden you see this picture, and it's like he's just as whacked out as the rest of them are. And, and they take such pride in that. That's the other thing that's disgusting. And from the picture, this young man does not really look very old. He looks like he's maybe, 13 or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have a chance to really look it up. I just came across a picture, and it just completely, totally blew me away, you know. And, a lot of the activities in the Olympics, I mean, I don't watch the Olympics at all. The only one that kind of piques my curiosity is when I watch the skiing with the shooting. And a lot of those games, they had military connotations in them.
Right.
Like in back in World War II, skiing down the mountain and being able to shoot. That was, that was important, especially when you're trying to the Rangers. And there's another event which I've never actually seen, but I'm curious, and I don't even know if they have anymore, because I heard someone talking about, I think it's a 5-part event where you ride a horse, you do fencing, and you shoot guns, and I forgot what else you do. That sounds extremely interesting to me.
Yeah, not anymore.
As a matter of fact, I recently got myself a cavalry saber just for S's and giggles. And the other thing, too, is as far as Nancy Guthrie goes, when I look at that whole thing, I cannot believe that she has such a lack of security for such an estate that she has. And you're on the same page as me. I mean, your best thing for security is to have a dog, a good dog that can take care of you.
Yeah.
And my wife, many years ago, took care of a blind couple on Long Island, when she was in high school and into when we got married. And you know what they had? They were both blind, and they had a trained Doberman. And every couple months or whatever, the company would send the handlers over, and they would make sure that, he was behaved, but he was aggressive enough. They'd come over with the padded suit and everything like that, and they'd have him, training.
So just enough so he's not eating the blind people, but he'd tear up anybody that came in.
Oh, believe me. I mean, when I went to visit, getting in the house at first, of course, you had, they had a comp. But once I was in, he would sit next to me like he was my best friend. But if I made a wrong move,
Oh yeah,
tell you what,
that's how they work, man. It's pretty amazing.
But
I got to move on, Joaquin, but thank you for the phone call. He also brought up a good point in that, why wouldn't the left try to undermine the Olympics? Why wouldn't they? They've done everything in their power to undermine and tear down every single thing we hold dear as Americans. Every institution, everything that we feel makes us American, everything we enjoyed because it was so American. And the Olympics, why wouldn't they tear that down too? Have athletes that just crap all over the country. How about that? Doesn't that, people could say, wow, that sounds a little paranoid, Anthony. But why wouldn't it be? Every single other thing that we would hold dear as Americans, they have tried to tear down, rip apart, eliminate it, rewrite history. We're the bad guys. Why wouldn't they send a bunch of liberal a-holes that can't stand the country to go over there, and the first thing they say when they get on camera is how lousy the country is and what a horrible president we have, and I'm doing this for my family and friends and not for the flag. Of course they would. Of course. That's their whole mission, is to destroy this country from every angle, inside, outside, just under the surface, to the core. Of course. I get it. That's what they do. Terrible. Just terrible. Let's see. This is interesting. This was really interesting. This is Democrat sheriff of Charlotte, North Carolina, Gary McFadden. He was in front of a hearing, and he was being asked a question, which branch of the government do you work under? There are 3 branches to the government: executive, legislative, and judicial. And the sheriff, an elected sheriff, is under one of those branches, works under one of those branches of government. And this guy, not too sure. AC 17.
Branch of government do you operate under?
Mecklenburg County.
Oh, brother.
What branch of government do you operate under, Sheriff?
Oak? Pine?
Constitution of the United States.
Correct. That is what establishes the branches of government. I'm asking which branch you fall under.
Mecklenburg County. I'm a duly sworn Mecklenburg County Sheriff. We answer to the people of Mecklenburg County.
This was not where I was anticipating getting stuck. Are you aware of how many branches of government there are?
No.
Oh, Jesus.
For the sake of debate, I will move on and say there are 3 branches of government: legislative, executive, judicial. Of those 3, which do you believe you fall under?
I believe I fall under the last one.
Would you say it to me?
Judicial.
Okay. You are incorrect, sir. You fall under the executive.
33 1/3% chance of hitting it right, and miss El Miso. That is astounding. That is a spectacular lapse of the voters that voted this guy in. He was a DEI. He's a DEI candidate elected by people that just wanted a DEI sheriff, and they got one. This is the simplest of things. The 3 branches of government, that is something a 3rd grader should know. First grade, what's first grade? You're right out of kindergarten. Hey, just don't crap yourself. There you go. That's first grade. Second grade, spelling, easy spelling, maybe some easy math. By 3rd grade, you're starting to look into social studies. Hey, what is this government thing we have? 3 branches. I don't even know what it means yet. Maybe by 4th grade, they'll teach me what it is. But I know that there are 3 branches of government. And then next year we learn what they are. But this guy was duly elected as sheriff of Charlotte, North Carolina, Gary McFadden. And he didn't have a clue, not a clue, what branch of the government his job fell under. That's pathetic. That should qualify him for an instantaneous one-way ticket out of his office. But you know what that would be? Anyone? I'm looking. Oh, yes, you right there. Racism? Yes. Very good answer. That would be racism. So perish the thought they throw his ass out because he's obviously an imbecile who doesn't even know the context of his job. How do you know how to do your job if you don't even know what branch of the government you work under? He says judicial? Really? Are you sitting in your sheriff's office going over the laws, determining if they are actually constitutional? Is that what you're doing? Deciding if the laws that are in place are good, fair laws? Is that what you do? Or do you run an office and run jails in your town? I'm an executive. Yes, you are. You're an executive. Unbelievable. But that's what we're dealing with. You ask why things are so screwed up. That is an elected official who doesn't know what the hell his job even is. All right, back in a moment. Stick around for more.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. I just saw a post from Stephen King, author Stephen King, and he said he doesn't like the fact that a lot of people on the left are being referred to as mental patients and insane by people on the right. I don't think it's just people on the right. I think anyone, any rational thinking human being looks at these mental patients on the left and correctly calls them insane, mental patient, lunatic. But Stephen King, a little upset that label is going around on the left. Meanwhile, how do you like being called a Nazi, a white supremacist? How about that, huh? A fascist. Those labels are thrown out on people on the right constantly. And again, not even people on the right. If you don't agree with them, you're a Nazi. But calling insane people insane, that's a bit much. If I see green hair, a nose ring, a lip ring that goes through the tongue, and an eyebrow, and one, it looks like they went to one of those cheap jewelry stores and bought a bunch of stuff, loaded it into a shotgun, and just blasted themselves in the face. That's what it looks like. And to me, that's crazy. That is indeed crazy. Joy Behar. Oh, Joy Behar. She is one of the idiots on The View. Don't we love The View? No? Yeah, she's one of the gals of The View, and anytime they speak about current events, political things, whatever, you could guarantee that some of the most idiotic stuff you'll ever hear will be coming out of their mouths. So obviously people have a problem with transgender women, who are men in dresses, going into bathrooms. And this is a valid complaint by women, especially young women. And we're talking about women of all ages in school. In high school, women, girls, have to be in the company of a man in a dress while they get undressed and changed. And It's hard to say that, no, that's a woman, when they're staring at, well, you know. But Joy Behar doesn't have a problem with that because over there at ABC, where she works, their bathrooms are all inclusive. So why do you have a problem if Joy Behar doesn't have a problem? Let's listen to Joy and then we'll discuss. AC 15.
Every Congress person has a bathroom in their office, so she's got a bathroom she can use in her office, and I'm sure she can use your bathroom and the bathroom of every Democrat and every person who's not a bigot in the United States Congress.
We have bathrooms here. In this building, it just says all genders.
Yeah.
Why can't they just do that everywhere?
Yeah, there are all gender bathrooms in many of the Capitol office buildings, not necessarily in the Capitol itself, but we're going to work through that.
Renovate.
Renovate. They seem to be missing some crucial information here. And this goes back to something called ID. Now, over there at The View, their bathroom is whoever. It's a multi-gender inclusive bathroom. At the Capitol, there are some bathrooms, not all of them, but some that are open to all genders. What a utopia. What a wonder. And if that's the case, why not have that everywhere? Well, let me think. What does it take to get into the building, the ABC television building that The View is in? I've worked in media for a few years. I know the routine of getting into a building like Fox News. I've been in there many times. You walk in, there are guards. There are guards. You then have to present your identification. You are then photographed and given a pass that will only allow you onto the floor you want to go to. You are escorted to the elevator through a mechanical door that only opens and closes when the guard hits a button or puts his card in there. Now you take the elevator up to the floor you want to go to. Now there's a receptionist desk. And again, there's a buzzer there. You have to wave and you're buzzed in. Now you sit in the waiting room until somebody comes out to get you. Now you are being walked into where you may see the likes of the wonder of Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg and the other hens of The View. Now let's say you are a transgender woman and you need to use the bathroom after such a rigorous process. Well, then you go in and you see gender neutral, gender free, whatever it is, anyone can use it. And you go, oh, thank goodness. Why can't this be this way everywhere? Well, I'll tell you why. Because 99.9% of the places you go into doesn't have that type of security. So you get mental patients, men in dresses that are perverted, want to do harm to people, are doing it just to get a laugh or to upset and intimidate people that would never make it past security. Because you have to have been booked on The View in order to get up to the floor where those wonderful gender-neutral bathrooms are that everyone should have. You've been run through more security than the White House. So why don't they have it everywhere? I don't know. Let's have that type of security everywhere then. Where these degenerate men dressed as women aren't walking into bathrooms to get a rise out of people or to get a glimpse at a girl taking a whiz. Maybe that's why, Joy Behar, that you guys can have those bathrooms. Oh, my God. They can never see the real picture. They can never see what the reality of this is. Oh, just have it everywhere. All right, how about your house? How about some degenerate man, patterned baldness, with makeup that looks like a horror movie, hairy legs. He knocks on your door and goes, "Can I use your bathroom, please?" Is Joy going, "Sure, come on in"? You got any kids, Joy? Disgusting. It's disgusting. But that's that's that. And they're talking to a politician, and it's the same thing with the Capitol. You think if one of those monsters came into the Capitol and he's walking around and tries to get into a ladies' room, that they're not stopping him? That they're not stopping him and asking him for ID the second he walks in? Of course they are. Of course. There's such hypocrites, and they're so phony with all this. Oh, yeah, no, gender-neutral bathrooms everywhere. That'd be great. Because every transgender person is like the wonderful people that they interview. 100% passable as tall, maybe broad-shouldered and big-footed women, but they certainly aren't the guys that you see that looks like a serial killer movie. Like Buffalo Bill.
I want to apologize. Would you? Well, Mrs. Lippman used to live here. I apologize for the movie.
Yeah. They never see that. That's never the guest on The View, the transgender guest on The View. No. They're such liars. They're such phonies. I can't stand them. This is good. Jesse Ventura. Jesse Ventura says, we had a choice last election. Well, we usually do, Jesse. And we blew it. In Jesse's eyes, we blew it. I think Jesse Ventura thinks that Kamala Harris would have made a much better president of the United States than Donald J. But I don't know. I used to like Jesse. Even when he was governor of Minnesota, I thought he was kind of at least with it. You know, he's a little weird. He's maybe a few too many bumps during his wrestling career. But now he's just completely lost his mind. But here he is saying we had a choice and last election and we blew it. AC 10.
Whether you liked Ms. Harris or not, this last election was a choice, a very simple one.
Those choppers.
In my opinion. You had the choice between the Constitution and the criminal. And this country chose the criminal. And now they're all appalled at what's happening. What would you expect a criminal to do when he gets in there? He's going to hire other criminals to work with him. They all will be an ilk together, a big group. You put a criminal at the top of America, a convicted felon.
What do you think Joe Biden was? Just stop with his Ukraine deals and his degenerate coke fiend crackhead son and the people in his administration that knew he had Alzheimer's and brought out that auto pen for everything he signed because he was too riddled with Alzheimer's to do anything himself. His wife that would lead him around on a leash. Those aren't criminals.
Joe Biden was a good man.
No, he wasn't. And if you think Kamala Harris would have been a good president and Tim Walz as the vice president, you want to talk criminal. Have you been paying attention?
I opened a daycare center. I should open a dentist office to try to keep my choppers in.
He doesn't get that Tim Walz is absolutely involved in the unbelievable amount of fraud going on in Minnesota. And if he's not, it's just as bad because he didn't see it. He was negligent in stopping the fraud that was pumping billions of tax dollars out of Minnesota and over to crooked Somalis and going directly over to Somalia.
I've been there a few times. not the most hospitable place. There are pirates there, not the peg-leg pirate kind. The black kind that take over cargo ships. Wait a minute. My bicuspid's coming loose again.
What is it? But this is how they think. They're not smart. Not very smart. Or there's an agenda. But I can't imagine Jesse Ventura in on the conspiracy, you know? I can't imagine he's part of it. Jesse, we'd like you on board with the whole pyramid thing that we're doing here. Illuminati. I was a Navy SEAL, a fighter. I wore a feather boa. I was a frogman, like the old G.I. Joe playset. Oh, okay, Jesse, you're in. We'll take your word for it, and you can sit right there. Holy mackerel. Yeah, so I don't know. Everyone's an idiot. I guess that's what I'm really trying to say. Everyone's an idiot. Yup, Wendy, Isle of Long. What's up?
Hey there. Well, no, we're not all idiots. Only they are. And maybe Stephen King was onto something. They're crazy. Yeah. I think Donald Trump broke their brain.
Well, that's obvious. He did. The Trump derangement syndrome is a reality. It is something that we've seen happen from the time that woman yelled no on her knees when they inaugurated Donald Trump. She has just multiplied like a fungus, like a bacteria, a virus. And now we have a bunch of them. So, yeah, they're insane.
So remember we were talking about how it is that we became divided as a culture, as a country?
Yeah.
So when you think about it, like when did we see in the newspapers where Who Shot JR? When was that show around?
Oh, God, the 80s. Yeah, early
right,
80s.
Right. So everybody watched the same few TV shows. Right. So we didn't have streaming. We didn't have cable. We didn't have computers. People didn't get their news from different places. And all of those sources create, people in their own little, pigeonhole.
That's very interesting. That is a very interesting take on it. We were almost forced to see the same things, think the same things, because there weren't these different news agencies. You watched NBC, CBS, or ABC, and it was pretty much the same news. Yeah, and we didn't have those communal moments of viewing and other things that we all watched together as a nation.
Yeah.
And who knew those would be that important to our
and you know what?
unity.
You had to rush home if you wanted to see your favorite TV show because it wasn't going to be DVR'd.
Yeah, that was it. You got one chance to watch something, and then it was off, and then you'd have to wait for the reruns. Months and months from when it first aired. So that was terrible when people are talking about a show and you're like, I don't know. I didn't see it. I missed it. Yeah.
Well, one thing I'm sure of is that those big shoulder pads are never coming back in style.
No, huh? You know, the 80s shoulder pads, they were so weird, and the hair was hilarious. Whether it was that giant puffed up waterfall of hair in the front with the curls or the short sassy haircut that some of the girls had. It was a look, man, and it was distinctly the 80s. Love it.
That's for sure.
Thanks, Wendy. It was Wendy, Long Island. Coming up to New York at the end of the month. So hopefully the snow will be gone. It could just be another snowstorm. What do you guys still have? February, March? We've seen blizzards at the beginning of April up in New York, so you're not off the hook for a while. That really sucks. I hope for your sake, it's not all that bad. It's not all that bad. What else we got? Oh, wait a minute. I wanted to take this call. There it is. Matt from the Bronx. What's up, man? You there? Sounds like a bong rip. Sounds like he's ripping on a bong. All right. Yeah, dump that call. Let me see. Rob from South Carolina. How you doing, Rob?
Hey, listen, I'm calling because we recently made a list of the top places where people moved over the last few years. I mean, I think we were fifth or sixth, and North Carolina was way up there, and I think Idaho was on it. But we need you to stop talking about where you live. Because we just don't need any more people moving here.
I hear you, man.
So please stop. When you say I'm going up there, just act like you're up there, okay?
Okay, fair enough, Rob.
The sheriff of Mecklenburg County, North Carolina, by the way, the city of Charlotte and the county are all governed by Democrats. Like literally every city council member is a Democrat.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same for the county in Mecklenburg County, North Carolina. And so North Carolina, Charlotte is turning into be just a, when you're hearing about one of these once great cities that
right.
That are being invaded by people that just, it's just a mess. And then lastly, I wanted to compliment you on something that I ran across. I ran across an old YouTube podcast with you and Artie and Gilbert Gottfried, where you guys were just ragging people for 2 hours, and I was in the other room looking at this, laughing out loud, and my wife came in and said, "What in the world are you doing?" And I just thought it was just absolutely fantastic, and I loved it. And I wanted to compliment you on that. It was just great.
Oh, yeah. I got to tell you, being in the same room with Artie Lang and Gilbert Gottfried and just going off references from TV of 50 years ago, crapping all over other comics, TV actors, actresses. It was nonstop. Gilbert was just amazing, and so is Artie. I look forward to actually doing something with Artie in the future. So, Rob, I got to move on, though. Taking a break. Thank you for the call, my friend. And we'll be back right after this.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. I want to thank you so much for tuning in another Sunday evening. We do appreciate that. And talking about Tim Walz, throughout the show, his name pops up, and it's always something stupid. And we're always so thankful that he did not get in and become the vice president of our country. But he's got things to say still. Oh, boy, look out. He's still full of great ideas, one of which is when it comes to gun control, gun ownership here in this great country. People love comparing America to other countries when it comes to our Second Amendment right, and it just can't be done. America is so unique, and even the left will always talk about how unique we are. Oh, my God, America isn't like any other country, and we're built on immigrants. But then when it comes to guns, they say, oh, we should just get rid of them all, just like this country, that country, that country. It's like, no, we're a unique nation. Guns played a very important role in the United States of America becoming the country that it is and that it has been over the course of the years. It's given us our swagger, our pioneer kind of frontiersman spirit, and that's kind of a good thing. It's a good thing. It makes us unique, but it's part of it, and there's the good and the bad of it, but it's part of who we are. So here's Tim Walz, and he thinks the UK or the U.S. should be more like the UK when it comes to gun ownership and gun control. That's simple. That's simple. You know, just get rid of all the guns. Get rid of the 300 and some odd million guns that we have here in this country that people are very attached to and would not like if the government wanted to take their guns from them. So let's listen to Tim Walls talk about guns, AC7.
When they had a school shooting in Scotland or they had an incident in Australia, they simply made changes. They are just as free as we are. They still have gun ownership requirements, but they have made sure that they don't have these. And since they did those things, they don't have them. We are an outlier amongst nations in terms of what happens to our children, and I refuse to think that that's okay. It's simply not.
Yeah, just they simply did something. Took away the guns from the Australian people. Oh, they're allowed to have like a hunting rifle, an old-style hunting rifle, but you got to jump through the hoops, and you have to qualify to get guns like that. How about the UK, where you're not allowed to have a gun? That's it. Now you got somebody that would be able to protect themselves against any adversary if they had a gun. Now they have to be proficient in machete fighting. So I would say if you're over there in the UK, train your granny to battle a young Middle Eastern man with a machete. Because granny could have just pulled, I don't know, a .38 out of her little bag and blasted the guy that was trying to do her harm. But with no guns, in order to get her on equal footing, you got to put a machete in her hand and have her hack away at some Middle Eastern maniac. Do you see how that works? Tim Walls. Do you see how this country works? And do you see that there's a better way to keep the kids safe than taking the guns away? How about finding out who the mental patients are that shouldn't have the guns? How about that? How about we start with some of the transgender people that are bat crap crazy? That's a whole demographic that of violence that we didn't see coming, did we? I did a little piece on it on my internet show last week, and it's astounding the number of clips you can watch of transgender women. It's not the women that take hormones, grow a chin strap beard, and wear their ball cap sideways. Not them, although they're angry as hell too. But the men that become women, they are the ones that are just insane. And you see it. You see that male aggression come out. They'll be talking like this. And, well, you know, it's nice to have people around. And then, well, sir, could I ask you a question? What do you mean? I'm not a search, ma'am. And they instantly go to violence. They want to punch you. They want to kill you. Because they're mentally ill. They're mentally ill people. And that's where we're at. And, you know, I got off on a tangent there about the trans community. But, hey, thanks for tuning in. And we'll be back next week right here where you listen to the Anthony Cumia Show. We'll see you then.
Thanks for listening to the Anthony Cumia Show. You can hear the Anthony Cumia Show Sunday nights at 8. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Hey, it's everyone's favorite time when our good friend Steven Singer, the I Hate Steven Singer guy, announces his brand new gold-dipped rose color for Valentine's Day. That's right. This year's color is romantic, breathtaking, and unforgettable. Imagine you're on vacation with your sweetheart. You gaze into her eyes and see a beautiful sunset. You're in love. You can with Steven Singer's brand new Sunset 24-karat gold-dipped rose. Picture it, a rose that's perfectly capturing the sunset hues, going from deep purple to vibrant pink, soft orange. There's nothing like it. Nothing like you've ever seen before. Steven's famous gold-dipped roses are real roses dipped in pure 24-karat gold, guaranteed to last a lifetime. They start at just $69. Steven Singer, he makes Valentine's Day shopping easy. The new Sunset Rose is only available at Steven Singer Jewelers. Get yours right now at IHateStevenSinger.com with fast and free shipping. Steven Singer Jewelers, that's IHateStevenSinger.com.